Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about the farm mechanization technology and green revolution. So let us start our discussion with our first part, that is the farm mechanization technology. Now, before going to discuss about the first part, let me give you a brief idea about the importance of agriculture for Indian economy. For the world, Indian economy is known as the agrarian economy. So you can understand the importance of agricultural sector for Indian economy. Till now, more than 50% of the Indian, they are dependent on Indian agriculture. So agriculture is very much important for our life, for the economic development, for the growth of the people and for everything of the country. Now, when we are going to discuss about the agrarian economy, so first we have to understand that what are the main inputs on which agricultural sector is dependent. Basically, there are 4 inputs on which agricultural sectors are dependent. So what are those? The first input is the irrigation. Irrigation means continuous supply of water in the agricultural field. The second one is the pesticide. The third one is the fertilizer. And the fourth one is high yielding varieties of seed, in short, which we call as HYV seed. So the first input is irrigation. Now the question is, why Indian economy or Indian agricultural sector needs irrigation? What is the importance? Is it possible for the Indian agriculture to produce, to survive without irrigation? The answer is no. Because other than irrigation, Indian agriculture has to depend on monsoon. And as monsoon is very much unpredictable, because it is depend on nature, you can understand. So as it is very much unpredictable, so what is the result of that? The agricultural output will also be unpredictable. Now if it is so, and as agricultural sector is basically our food supplier, so it is not desirable that our food supply is non-predictable. So that is why we need a continuous supply of water in the agricultural sector. So this is the first important reason behind the need of irrigation. The second important reason is that if we use irrigation facility in the agricultural field, a single piece of agricultural land can give us multiple cropping facility. What do you mean by multiple cropping? Multiple cropping means in a single piece of land within a certain season, you can produce more than one crops. So this is why multiple cropping means more output, and as it is giving us more output, obviously irrigation is very important. The third important reason behind the irrigation is that as we can produce more than one crop in a single season within a single piece of field, so more employment opportunity is there. And in the economy, Indian economy is labor abundant economy. That means lot of labor are there and most of them are unskilled labor. So we can give them some job opportunity in the agricultural sector if we can use irrigation properly. And if we can successfully implement the irrigation project, then that the production uncertainty or the productivity uncertainty, that can also be removed. So this is why irrigation is very important for Indian agriculture. Now, given this background, now the question is what Indian government has done. What are the major steps Indian government has taken to develop our irrigation sector? So first thing I can say that a lot of investment has been done for the irrigational development. In the first 5-year plan, which was basically for the agricultural development, around 400 crore rupees was invested for the irrigation, and which is increased to more than 1 lakh crore rupees in the 10th 5-year plan. So we can understand government is also giving a huge importance on the irrigational development. And if we look at the country, there are so many large dams. I'm just giving you some name of those dams so you can understand, like Bhakra Nangal project, like Damodar Valley Corporation, like Nagarjuna Sagar project. So these are the projects, these are the major dams created all over the country to facilitate the irrigation in the agricultural field. Now, in 1996-97, government has implemented a project. So what is the name of the project? The name is Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program. Now, what was the objective of this program? The objective is to give the financial support to the state governments. Why? Because with this financial support, state government can complete the incomplete irrigation projects. So we can understand till now government is trying very hard to implement or to develop our irrigation sector. The next input is the fertilizer. Now, central government has done one study in the just to understand that what is the use or what is the importance of fertilizer for agricultural production. The study shows that if 40 to 60 kg per hectare fertilizer is used, then 30 to 45 million tons of food grain can be produced. So we can understand fertilizer is very important for the agricultural sector. Now, as it is important, as Indian economy is agrarian economy, so Indian producers, the industrialists, they are also producing fertilizers. Now, what type of fertilizers they are using? They are basically producing nitrogenous, potassic and phosphatic fertilizers. Now, the question is it sufficient? The answer is no. As it is a large country, a significant land is already there for the agricultural production, India is still importing fertilizer. Even if so many steps has been taken by the government, even if large industries are there to produce the fertilizer, India has to import fertilizer till now. So we can understand the use of fertilizer in our agricultural sector. If we check the interstate data, we can see that Odisha, Jharkhand, Kerala and Rajasthan, they are using less than national average fertilizer. Now the question is whether this use of fertilizer is good. Initially, we can think that yes, it is good because we already said, we already have informed the data through which we can understand that if we use fertilizer, we can increase production significant level. So it is good. But the ultimate answer is no, it is not so good. Why? Because if we use fertilizer continuously in a single piece of land, as it is chemical actually, it is produced in industry, so it is chemical product, the health of the soil is in front of the question. The health is eroded, the health of the soil is eroded, and after some time it will be the wasteland. And that is why in the 10th 5-year plan, this is the first time Indian government said that agricultural farmers, they should use biofertilizer. So they should change their use of chemical fertilizer. They should move from chemical fertilizer to biofertilizer. And in the 12th five-year plan, we have seen that India is the second largest chemical fertilizer user among the world. So we can understand what a huge amount of chemical fertilizer agricultural farmers are using in India. Now I am going to the third input. So the third important input for agricultural sector is high yielding varieties of seeds, which we will call as HYV seed. Now the question is, why we need that special type of seed? What is the problem with our traditional seeds? The answer is, as these are produced in the industry, obviously this is produced, this is not by nature. They are fast growing, they are fast maturing, and they are disease resistance. So these are the main features because of which Indian farmers are very much interested about the HYV seeds. Now, the question is, if we are having HYV seeds in our hand, is it sufficient to get the final result? The answer is no, because as it is very much chemical, very much it is produced in industry, so it needs some support. So actually the successful result or the success of the HYV seeds can be achieved only if other three inputs will work successfully. So what are those inputs? There should be continuous supply of fertilizer, there should be continuous supply of pesticide, and there should be continuous supply of irrigation. If all these three inputs will work successfully, then only we will get 100% success of HYV seeds. Other than that, HYV seeds will not give us the expected result. Anyway, as HYV seeds are giving us some better result than the traditional seeds, the farmers are very much interested to use them, and they are using. Now, in our data of 1998-99, it is seen that 24 million hectares of land is using the 24 million hectares of land of the Indian agricultural sector, they are using HYV seeds. So we can understand HYV seed is now very important. The farmers cannot cultivate without HYV seeds. Given the importance of HYV seeds, Indian government has taken several steps. What are those steps? The first step is the 10-year seed plan was developed by the Indian government. Now that means why it is so? Why Indian government has introduced that 10-year plan? Because farmers should get a continuous supply of the qualitative output or the qualitative HYV seed. At the same time, Indian government is giving the proper environment to the HYV seed producers so that they can continuously produce more and more developed HYV seeds, and which are environment friendly according to the Indian environment. Now, there is another policy by Indian government, that is the National Seed Map. What is the importance of the National Seed Map? National Seed Map is helping the farmers to find out the place from where they can get their required seed. National Gene Bank is also created. National Gene Bank. Now, what is the importance of that? It is just for maintaining the quality of the seed over the years. At the same time, state level seed bank is also established by the government of India in different states, so that in the region wise farmers should not get the scarcity of the HYV seeds. So these are the major steps taken by the government of India to give the supply, the continuous supply of the quality HIV seeds to the farmers. Now the last input, which is very important for Indian agricultural output, is the pesticide. Now pesticide is just to get rid of the pests. So if we look at the data, I am not giving you the detailed data. The data is already there in my PPT. So you can see within 30 to 40 years, the use of chemical pesticide in India is just more than double. So you can understand farmers are also using a lot of chemical pesticide. Now what is the effect of that? A severe negative effect we are watching right now. First of all, as it is chemical, this is harmful for the human body. At the same time, over the time, the pests also get resistance, so that after some time, those pesticides will not work. So given the negative effect of the use of the chemical pesticide, there is a policy by the government. The name of the policy is Integrated Pest Management Scheme. Integrated Pest Management Scheme, IPM scheme. Now what is the objective of this scheme? The objective of this scheme is to monitor the use of the chemical pesticide by the farmer. The second objective is to watch the nature or the behavioral change of the pest, so that the producer or the industry who is producing those chemical pesticide, they can also change the component of those pesticide so that the pesticide will be again effective. At the same time, this scheme is trying to teach the farmer, or to train the farmer, not to teach, to train the farmers about this IPM policy, IPM scheme. And this scheme is also trying to encourage the farmers to use the biopesticides, which is less harmful for the human body as well as for the soil. So this scheme is very much focused about the long run effect of the chemical pesticide. This scheme is trying to reduce the negative effect of the chemical pesticide, because as far as we know that this chemical pesticide, chemical fertilizer, HIV seeds, these are now very much important, necessary for the agricultural sector. We cannot avoid, we cannot stop use of those things. But given this situation, just to reduce, just to minimize the negative side of the chemical use, this scheme is very much helpful and obviously very much successful for the Indian agricultural sector. Now we are going to discuss about the second part of our unit, that is the Green Revolution. A very well-known name, everyone knows the name at least. So we are going to discuss here first the background of the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution, this concept was first initiated in the second 5-year plan, and then it is implemented at the mass level in the fourth 5-year plan. Now, during the second 5-year plan, in the year 1960-61, the Intensive Agricultural District Program, it was the name of the program, it is implemented in 7 districts of the country. So that was a pilot project. And given the success of this project, during the fourth 5-year plan, the Green Revolution was used or implemented across the country. Now in the year 1998-99, around 63% of the total Indian agricultural area is under the scheme of Green Revolution. So we can understand now green revolution is actually compulsory for the development of Indian agriculture. Now, what are the main pillars of green revolution? Basically, there are 4 pillars of green revolution. These are irrigation, that is continuous supply of water. The second is the chemical pesticide. The third one is the chemical fertilizer. And the last one is the HIV seeds or high yielding varieties of seeds. So we can understand more than 40 years is we have finished after the implementation of the green revolution. So what is the impact of green revolution in our economy? So in the first one is the impact of green revolution on the crop production. So here we have taken 3 major crops: the rice, wheat and the coarse cereals. So these are the cereals actually. So we are just trying to watch the change of the component of these cereals in the total cereal production. So the pie chart is showing you that over the year in 1960-61 and then in the 2013-14. So there we are watching that share of rice in the total cereal production has fallen. So we can understand green revolution could not make any impact for the rice production. On the other hand, for the wheat production, it is more than double during the same period. So it is of great success for the wheat production. And in case of coarse grain, the coarse grain production has fallen severely within the same tenure. So in a nutshell, we can say that green revolution is successful only for the wheat production if we consider cereal production as a whole. Now we are going to the other food grain or other agricultural outputs. So the second point to discuss the impact of green revolution is the impact of green revolution on the cash crops. So what are the cash crops which I have taken for my discussion? These are the oilseed, sugarcane, jute, cotton and the potato. So these are the cash crops which we are considering here. And within the same time, if we are watching the change of their growth, we can see that all of these components have increased their production level. So we can conclude that for the cash crop production, green revolution is successful. Now what are the other than this production increase, decrease and all, what are the other impacts of the green revolution? So the other impact, first I have to mention, it creates regional inequality. Why? Because as I said that green revolution is dependent on the 4 pillars. So the farmers who are getting access or who could get access of those 4 pillars, they are getting the success or benefit of the green revolution. The others could not get it. And this is very much region specific. The region where wheat is produced, those sectors are getting success because of the green revolution, but those sectors who are not so much concentrated for the wheat production, those areas who are mainly producing rice, they are not getting that much of success. So this is how regional disparity has increased. And at the same time, you can understand interpersonal income inequality has also increased. Why? Because if the person could get access of the green revolution, could get the success of the green revolution, whatever be the background, then his per capita income will increase. But those who could not are poor and more poor. So this is how income inequality among the individual is rising continuously. Other than that, I can say that gender inequality rises because now this agricultural sector is becoming very much capital intensive. What do you mean by capital intensive? Capital intensive means this sector is using relatively more capital than labor. Look, there are so many inputs are there to produce any commodity. But generally, we are dividing all those inputs under two categories. The first one is labor and the second one is capital. Now, the capital intensive means this sector is using relatively more capital than labor. That means if capital is used by 60%, then 40% labor is used to produce that commodity. So after the Green Revolution, agricultural sector is becoming capital intensive. Because for irrigation, for chemical pesticide, for chemical fertilizer, we need money. So we can understand it is very much capital intensive now. So this is one of the impact of the Green Revolution for the Indian economy. At the same time, the social inequality rises because the rich is becoming richer, poor is becoming poorer. So the distinction is very much prominent after the Green Revolution. And obviously, as I said repeatedly, that these inputs are basically chemicals, so health hazard of the agricultural sector workers is very much prominent now, is more than before. And as the large farmers can understand that if they can produce at the large scale, if they invest a lot of money in the agricultural sector, then they may get the success of the Green Revolution. That is why they are just taking the land from the small and the marginal farmers. So what is the net result? After a certain time, we are watching that the proportion of the small and marginal farmers in the Indian economy is falling significantly. But the capitalist sector or the large farmers, they are growing. And what is coming? In the place of the marginal and small farmers, the agricultural laborers, the proportion of agricultural laborers are rising in the economy. So these are the basically positive and negative impact of the Green Revolution. Now, if we are going to the weakness of the Green Revolution, we must mention that unfortunately agriculture is still dependent on monsoon. Why? Because in India, most of the farmers, they are poor. So as they could not get the access of the Green Revolution because it needs money, they didn't have money. And that is why they still have to depend on the monsoon. So the major problem of the Green Revolution is most of the agricultural farmers could not get access of it because of the lack of money. And still we have to depend on monsoon. So the production fluctuation, the productivity ups and downs, these things are still there. Other than that, wealth concentration is rising. Wealth concentration rising, why? Because, as I said, that large farmers could get the access of the Green Revolution, they could invest money to get the success of the Green Revolution. So wealth is going in their hand. On the other hand, the small and the marginal farmers who could not get access of that, they are becoming just the landless agricultural laborers now. So this is how wealth concentration is rising. So small and marginal farmers, they are not getting a single unit of benefit from the Green Revolution, we can say. And that is why the unemployment in the agricultural sector is rising continuously. Now, what are the thrust areas of the Green Revolution? First of all, more importance should be given for the pulse production, for the oilseed production, for the coarse cereal production. More importance should be given on them. At the same time, more agricultural land should be under the facility of the irrigation. They are not getting the access of irrigation till now. The next important point which should be taken care of is the rainwater harvesting. That should get importance because the water supply is not so well because of the infrastructural problem of the Indian economy. At the same time, the use of biofertilizer should also get importance, and the dry farming should be encouraged so that the dry lands, these lands could be used for the agricultural production. So these are the thrust areas of the Green Revolution. Now, given those things, there is a committee by the central government of India. The name of the committee is the National Commission on Farmers. It was created in 2004, and the chairman is Dr. M.A. Swaminathan. So what was the main recommendation of this committee? Basically, this committee is focusing on the farmers. So this recommendation of this committee is to, the very first recommendation of this committee is to maintain the health of the soil. That means, as I said, if we use chemical fertilizer, chemical pesticide continuously, after a certain time, the soil is becoming the wasteland, which is of no use. So just to protect the health of the soil, government should do something. This is the first recommendation of this committee. Other than that, the lending facility should be given to the small and marginal farmers. This is another recommendation of this committee. As I said, the people, the poor farmers, they are not getting the benefit of the Green Revolution only because of the lack of money. So if central government provides the money to them in terms of loan, maybe the very low interest rate, then they could get the access of the Green Revolution. That is why this is also the recommendation of this committee, that give the loan facility to the small and marginal farmers. More agricultural land should get the irrigation facility. This is another recommendation. As I said, that it is a huge dams are there, lot of dams are there, a lot of investment is there for the irrigation project, but till now a major section of the Indian agricultural lands, these are not getting the facility of the irrigation. So that is why this committee recommends to increase the irrigation facility as much as possible to those farmers. And the clean marketing facility should be given to the farmer. This is very important because prominent middlemen are there. So they are getting most of the profit of the farmers. Just to avoid that, just to eliminate the importance, the existence of the middleman, government should provide clean marketing strategy. So these are the major recommendations of the National Commission on Farmers.